You know, it's just occurred to me we really haven't had a completely successful test of this equipment. No sense worrying about it now.
Why worry? Each of us is wearing an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on his back.
I'm Dr. Rudolph.
That mass on your head is a tumor.
One of Hollywood's most successful filmmakers has died.
Daddy, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that to you. I don't blame you at all for Mom's sake. I didn't mean any of it. You're the greatest dad in the whole world.
Hey, Mom, did you go to Blockbuster and get that movie I asked for?
Oh, you bet, baby. I stopped right on the way.
No.
All right, introductions with racist overtones aside, what did we watch this week?
We watched When the Wind Blows.
A lovely little film, certainly not depressing or super sad in any way. I really enjoyed this one. I'd never seen it before. It's a 1980s fear movie. It's essentially a horror movie against the horrors of nuclear retaliation. And I really enjoyed it. I thought the animation was incredible. I thought the voice acting was great, even though there's literally only 3 voices. I would have done it a little differently, but I mean, the whole point of this was to strike fear into the populace, so to speak. What do you think about it?
I think it's interesting. I'll be honest, I didn't not like it. I didn't really like it, but it's trying something. I think for a lot of people who are into this type of, like you said, serious kind of fears of war, it could work for them. For me, the first half an hour I struggled with, I'll be honest, because there's just not really anything happening. You're getting to know the husband and wife, and they're obviously going through the pamphlet, but I don't know. I just feel like maybe this could have been better off as maybe a 45-minute short.
Yeah, I can understand that, because I was going to bring up one of the big weaknesses I found is they don't really change the entire movie. It's just, oh, don't worry, emergency services will get to us as soon as they can. The milkmen will be around, and it just keeps going on and on. What I said I would have done differently is their hope in salvation would sort of erode, and they would maybe not fight with each other, but sort of the entire movie, it wouldn't be so, all right, everything will be fine. It's logical.
I mean, like trust in the government and kind of that.
Yeah, it's kind of the point. Like, you don't place blind trust in authority. But at the same time, it makes for kind of dull characterization.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, I will say that when the movie first started, because I watched this movie as of the recording, it's streaming on Tubi TV. When I first started watching it, I was like, wait, what the hell? Am I watching the right movie? Seeing the British officers live action, and I'm like, what the hell? Did Tubi fuck up again? There's another movie with the exact same name. I got the wrong movie here. Then the David Bowie song comes on, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me at least listen to this David Bowie song and see if this is the right movie.
I hated it.
And yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of David Bowie, but wrote that song specifically for this movie, and I'm not a big fan of it either. I wouldn't say I hated it.
I liked how it started. It was like a really heavy guitar riff, and then all of a sudden it goes straight to 80s David Bowie bullshit.
You do understand what has to happen. We have a space for you up on Golgotha. 3,000 skulls there by now.
Rest in peace, David Bowie.
For sure. He has a lot of great tunes out there.
You brought up the animation. And I mean, I love hand-drawn animation. That's like the main thing for me. But the character models didn't work for me.
They were just a little too crude.
Yeah, and what I was going to say, but I forgot to say it earlier. I was going to say, wow, this is the weirdest, saddest episode of Doug I've ever seen.
Patty, you're the pickle on my coleslaw. Patty, you're the sugar in my tea. Patty, you're the relish on my hot dog. And Patty, you're the mayonnaise for me. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
As I was watching this movie, there was so many times where I was just like, the beady eyes of the characters,
his big old bald head.
Right? I could not stop thinking about Doug.
So you didn't really dig the characters. I really enjoyed that it was bright and colorful amidst this apocalyptic backdrop. Not only that, they utilize a lot of different techniques. There was claymation, there was an actual set, and they just do whatever Roger Rabbit magic they did to put the characters on there. I really enjoyed that. It gave it a little bit more life, I think.
You had to do stuff like that because they're just in that house.
Keep things interesting visually, at least.
There's definitely a moment later on that we'll get into in spoilers where they really do a lot of cool stuff with the animation. There's a lot kind of thrown at the screen, which did look really nice. There were a couple moments like when she's blowing into the dandelion.
Clearly, you should have dropped your acid 20 minutes before that. I haven't seen a lot of these 80s, late 70s English animations, but Watership Down, the exact same things happen. It's just like out of nowhere, it'll be, oh, okay, I should have dropped acid before I watched this.
I should have ate a whole bag of shrooms.
Speaking of which, do you know who wrote all the other music besides the opening title?
Roger Waters?
Of Pink Floyd fame, yes. And I believe he wrote The Wall. It reminded me a little bit about that, the movie, I mean.
I did like the ending song, and I'm a big Pink Floyd fan. That was nice. I mean, the music is good. As I was watching the movie, I didn't pay attention to it as much, but that really did stick out at the end of the movie. Apparently, they wanted David Bowie to do all the music for the movie, but he couldn't because he was finishing up his album. So I guess that's why Roger Waters did the music.
And let me just say, I'm incredibly happy about that fact. Can you just imagine a full hour and 20 minutes of the 80s Bowie bullshit?
I mean, I don't know. I think he probably would have, tonally with the movie, I think he would have done some different things.
It would have at least better than that first song, because I hated that first song.
It's like when you say that, I'm like, what are you expecting? Like him to do Under Pressure for an hour and 20 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, that could work. Tonally, I mean.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I guess that is kind of true. Was there anything watching this movie now, currently, where we're at in the world that stuck out to you?
This reminded me of, do you remember during our Come and See review, I mentioned how when the Iraq War was popping off, I was all excited and stuff. These two really reminded me of that.
It was nice in the war, really. The shelters, the blackout. Cups of tea.
Even though they had been in London or wherever during World War II and they were being shelled and going to shelters and stuff, they're really just like, oh, it'll be fine.
He almost seems kind of excited with the preparation.
He's had a vision of fucking Bernard Montgomery, for Christ's sake. The ghost general in the beginning that appeared. He was famous for finally defeating Erwin Rommel's North Africa Corps.
Oh, okay. There was a couple moments in the movie where I was like, oh, wow, this is kind of crazy. Even in 2021, there's a couple lines in this movie that stick out to today. Like when he goes to the store to try to get bread because they want to get supplies to prepare for this. And he says, oh, they were all sold out. Everyone's panic purchasing. That stuck out to me. And also there were moments when he was prepping for everything that really reminded me, because I mean, both you and me went through this, was Y2K.
I remember myself getting old Pepsi 2 liters and filling them with water and hiding them under my bed. Other than that, I'm way too young to really have any clear sense of what's happening, you know?
I remember it very vividly because one of my dad's friends was constantly telling him, yeah, you got to prepare, you got to prepare. So we had our cellar filled with cans. We had loads of water, giant glass bottles filled. I mean, my dad, he was worried about it. As a kid, it was something like I didn't fully understand.
You knew he was making a big deal about it, so you should.
He was preparing for everything. And watching this movie, it made me think back on that time.
One of the lines that really stuck out for me was she was describing how during World War II,
He was a nice chap. I liked him. Like an uncle he was. I liked his moustache and his pipe.
it's such a adolescent sort of view on war. Your leaders have decided to send all these young people off to die or kill for them.
Also, if you look at the millions, Stalin killed way more. It's just Hitler is very romanticized and World War II is romanticized. It's very disturbing. There was one line when I think his wife is reading from pamphlet and she goes, "Oh, BJ, what's his name?" I immediately went, Blaskowitz? Wolfenstein? I just immediately thought, oh shit, we're going full on robot Nazis.
That would have been an interesting take. I would have severely changed the tone and message of the film, but it might have been a lot more kick-ass, let's say.
Yeah, if they go down into the cellar and just get out the arsenal.
Hun, I've got the howitzer in the basement. Oh, crumb. Would you recommend When the Wind Blows?
No. I'll be honest. I wouldn't. I think if you really love animation and all different kinds and older animation and you can handle really depressing shit, then yeah. But I think for most people, they could probably sit this out.
I'm sort of inclined to agree with you, but at the same time, I would definitely recommend it. Adult animation, you can handle sort of intense themes. You're spending these moments with these people who have really no concept of what's happening, and I enjoyed that. All right, spoilers we are.
Kaloo-coo-coo! Kaloo-coo-coo!
Fuck you!
What spoilers would you like to discuss first?
I guess we should get into the fact that the bomb actually goes off, which when I was watching this for the first half an hour, I was like, oh, this is going to be the whole entire movie.
Them just worrying about it?
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then at the end, it's like, oh, the bomb isn't going off. The neighbors will come up to them and their whole house is just for 2 weeks, just shit. So when the bomb actually goes off, I was like, oh, shit. Wow. Yeah, this is actually going there.
That was the one time where they sort of broke character. Well, he did at least. There's an announcement on the radio, which I really liked. I loved that sequence. He goes nuts.
3 minutes.
God almighty, Dux. There's only 3 minutes to go.
Oh dear, I'll just
Stay
get the washing.
indoors and take
Come
cover.
back, you stupid bitch, and
Lie
get in the
down.
shelter.
How
Keep
dare
away
you
from
talk to me
windows.
like that, James?
Shut up
Cover
and
your
get
head
in.
and-
I wanted more of that. Getting more than just, oh, cheerio, everything will be fine.
That's the only moment that really happens.
Okay, let's go over the plot because it's important for what we're describing here. Fine English couple, countryside. He's retired. She's also an English woman at that time, so she probably never worked. Bomb goes off. Their shelter consists of doors and pillows at a 60-degree angle nailed to the wall. I'm no nuclear physicist, but something tells me that's not going to work. It reminds me of, you ever see those 50s or 60s propaganda films they'd show in school?
Jane learned in school what to do when you hear a volcano erupt. That's right, Jane. Duck and cover.
Well, I mean, my dad went through all that. He even talked to me about it, where he's like, yeah, when I was in school, they're like, oh, yeah, if the bomb goes off, just hide under your desk and you'll be fine.
Duck and cover under your desk and you'll be fine. Yeah, good call, guys.
It's just to make people feel safe right before they die.
Yeah. Yeah, just to sow content. Okay, so the bomb goes off. They're both not understanding how drastic a situation they find themselves in. Their entire house somehow stays erect. All the windows are broken, glass, trash everywhere. She's pissed off because she's going to have to clean up. Lo and behold, the rest of the movie is them slowly succumbing to radiation sickness.
It's really sad, especially when we, as the audience, obviously know what's happening.
Oh, yeah. As soon as the second day after the bomb, they both complain of headaches. So essentially, there is no plot now. It's just, we know what's happening, and they're just blissfully unaware of their impending doom. I liked that.
They're starting to forget things, too.
He keeps saying either Jerry's or Germans are attacking them.
Also, when he goes, oh, shit, we were supposed to stay in that little shelter.
They were out for like an entire day, I think.
And they were laying in their living room. The saddest scene for me really is when they go outside and they put those lawn chairs out and they're laying and it's like, oh, and then it rains and I'm like, oh, God, they're going to drink the water from the fucking sky, the acid rain mixed with fucking radiation.
We'll just boil it. It'll be fine.
So once you get to that point in the movie, you're just like, I know exactly how this is going to go now. You're just watching people slowly die, and it's very fucking depressing.
It was at this time when there were so many atom bomb horror movies. There's quite a few cartoons. There was that TV special that I was too young to know anything about. Day After, I think. It was a scary time, man. It was the height of the Cold War.
Right. I mean, the Cold War didn't end until 89. And there was also a lot of genre movies that were exploring this type of theme, even like the Mad Max movie. It's not directly addressing it, but it is there. The fact that there's all these apocalyptic movies like A Boy and His Dog, that fear was definitely around for a lot of decades.
It was right to be there, man. There was a phrase that they used in this film that was used basically from the 40s onwards. MAD, mutually assured destruction.
Implied that neither the United States nor the Soviet Union could risk a first strike because the retaliation would destroy the initial aggressor.
It's a scary thing, and it's something that I haven't really thought about. We were born after Berlin Wall came down.
Yeah, it's never really been a part of our lives.
Yeah, even in these past few years when hysterical people were like, oh yeah, the fingers on the nukes, I never felt that that was ever real.
That wasn't a possibility.
It was never real to me. People are just overly hysterical. But after seeing something like this, while I can't entirely know what everyone felt,
it's very sobering.
Yeah, it had to have been a really scary time. It's just weird because even before watching this, I was thinking about watching Dr. Strangelove. And then there's a movie called Failsafe, which came out the same year with Henry Fonda, which is basically Dr. Strangelove, not a comedy. And it's just weird at this time to be thinking about these types of movies, like three of these movies. You got the satire of it, you got the serious version of it, you got the animated version of it. I don't know. It's just weird that that happened all at the same time.
What would you change about this movie? What would you do differently?
It's tough because this is what they wanted to do. For me personally, I feel like this could have been 45 minutes, I'll be honest. I think it was too long. And it's tough because personally for me, I don't really love movies set in one location. So I was kind of hoping that they would leave the house and
walk
journey
to town
out.
or something.
We do see images briefly of the town. I mean, I guess I was hoping that they would just leave the radiated zone, even though that they were probably going to die. Why aren't you guys getting in your car driving somewhere? Like, do they not have a car?
I don't think so, because in the very beginning, he came back from wherever he was in a bus. But still, just hoof it.
I don't know. I just felt like if you're in that situation, are you really just going to stay in your house? We have hindsight. And we have decades later. This takes place, I guess we would say, because they do have a television. World War II has ended. So what are you thinking, like late 50s, mid 50s?
Well, I would say that, except she mentions that when, again, Montgomery was there, she's bringing up, well, it's been 40 years. He's probably dead. So I think it was set at the time, modern times.
40 years, yeah. But would that be like 40 years from World War I?
No, World War II. Montgomery was World War II. Although I'm certain he probably served in World War I, but he didn't really gain fame until World War II.
Oh, wow. So this really is taking place in the same year as it came out, like 86, basically.
I think so.
Well, yeah, 40 years after the war, 45, 46, yeah, that would be 86, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, obviously they are older people, but I don't know. I feel like if you survived that, I would not stay in the house.
Especially if it's the 80s. Yeah, especially if it's the 80s. There's been plenty of education, news, whatever, that this isn't going to be good for. He brings it up even. I can't remember if he mentioned specifically Hiroshima or Nagasaki, but he mentions how, they die years later from the sickness.
Yeah, Hiroshima he brought up. He said something about, I don't know exactly why they died.
That seems insane to me, especially if this is taking place in 1980s. Even if you're an old person, you have to understand that radiation is bad. Chernobyl, I believe, happened in the 70s, right?
I think it might have been the 80s Chernobyl happened.
So even worse for them. You guys know that this isn't going to be good. I can't see the fallout. What will it look like?
Yeah, which is just heartbreaking. It's all around you.
Me, personally, I can understand people not getting into sort of depressing, feel-bad movies. I really enjoy it. It's kind of like how a cutter sees things. Even if it's pain, at least I'm feeling something. Speaking strictly about movies, I don't need a fucking psychiatrist. I like a movie that can make me feel something, whether it's joy, anger, or profound sadness.
There's certain people who, when they're really sad, they will watch sad movies. And even for me, I would say listening to sad music, I'll listen to a lot of sad music, a lot of very depressing music, but it doesn't bother me. Even if I cry from it, it's not like it's really bumming me out. So, I can understand.
You just get kind of lost in the moment of listening to that song.
I enjoy it. I enjoy listening to albums like that. Like you said, it makes you think. But for me with movies, I'll watch a depressing movie movie, but I usually like to be in the right mind frame. Set aside time to try to watch something positive after it to kind of even things out. But with music, for me, I don't feel that way for some reason. So I did want to bring up one sequence when the bomb actually goes off, that animation. I really liked that a lot when you see the cars get into an accident, flip over, and the train goes over. I thought that looked great.
You see houses just sort of deconstructing in the wind. I like that as well.
There's not really any color to it.
It's black and white. Oh,
it reminds me of the opening of Wizard of Oz, where it's like bronze almost.
It was kind of tinging towards bronzy, kind of yellowish. Maybe.
Yeah.
We're not animators, people, so please forgive us.
I don't know. I would have liked to seen them try to venture out of the home, but that's not what the creators wanted. They wanted you to sit there and suffer and to feel like, oh my God, why aren't they leaving? They're just sitting and dying in this house as their coffin. And then especially when they put the bags over each other.
I can't believe I forgot about that. The movie ends with them quite literally having bags on their head.
They're literally burying themselves, basically. They're putting themselves into the coffin. And the prayer, he's struggling. Who do we pray to?
Do you think it was more radiation sickness, his mind going, or was it more he wasn't really a Christian type of guy?
I asked myself that. My immediate reaction when I saw it was, okay, yeah, he's maybe not really religious, but I think it's probably more the radiation things. It's affecting their minds. They're losing their sense of balance where they are. It's just killing them. Her voice at the end.
Into the valley of the shadow of death.
No more love.
It's just brutal.
I love that. Such a powerful moment.
It is well done.
See, I'd like to, if I were to do this, again, this is not what they were trying to do. They were trying to make you feel horrific, trying to make you feel deeply saddened. But what I would have done is we have, the bomb doesn't go off until the very end, and then the bomb kills them. There's no radiation sickness. There's no nothing. It's 45 minutes until initial strike. And then they sort of maybe 7 phases of death. That might work. But I would like to have seen more depth of their character. But, like, it's not the point.
Yeah, I mean, it's like even I thought about like, oh, I wish there were some other survivors and they met up. And it's like, I'm just dreaming of something where there's hope. You know, I'm just looking for hope.
Yeah, I like that too about these really dark, depressing movies is that even though you know essentially that this isn't going to end well, you're still just sitting there saying, come on, guys, you know better than this.
For some people, that's going to be infuriating. Like, why aren't you doing this? What are you doing? It is tough. They get to a point towards the end where you're like, oh, okay, well, they have no energy. They have no water.
It's clear in the animation. Like, they have fucking spots all over their legs. Their eyes are all sunken in and black around them. Her hair's fucking gone from kind of brown to super gray and falling out.
And her hair's going out. Her lips, which was a nice touch.
Have you got lipstick on, dear?
What do you mean, James? You know, I haven't worn lipstick for years. My gums are bleeding.
He's like, oh, we'll have to, it's something with your dentures or something, he says. We'll have to take you to the dentist.
That kind of pushed it too far. He had an answer for everything, but it was clearly wrong.
There's a lot of people like that where it made me think of families that get lost in the woods. The person leading, they're asking them, do you know where you're going? Do you know where you're going? And he's like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And they just keep getting more lost and these people die.
You just made me think of an episode of The Simpsons where Lisa becomes a vegetarian. Homer has like a pig roast or something. She pushes it, it goes down a hill. First it falls into a river. It's just a little slimy. It's still good. It's still good. Gets launched into like a dam and shot through the air. It's just a little airborne. It's still good. It's still good.
There's a lot of people like that. They just will not admit that they don't know something. And I feel like that this character, he is that. He's like, oh, no, it's fine. Oh, yeah. But meanwhile, you're dying. We're just going to keep dying here.
You both have lesions. We're talking about lesions. Let's talk about lesions. And perhaps it's varicose veins. Dude, I can see it's not varicose veins. I can see it's fucking lesions on her fucking legs and on your arms.
He brings up multiple times, see, look at my arms. I have them and I'm a man. He says that earlier to her about something. I can't remember.
He mentions how women can't go bald. It's scientific fact.
It's just sad because there's a lot of situations like that. Yeah, but I mean, there's also certain situations where people have gotten lost, and if they just stayed in that one location, they would have been found by somebody, but venturing out caused them to die. So it's a tricky thing. You don't know until you're really in that situation what you're going to do.
You don't know, but in this situation, the sky is dark and gray. All vegetation is vaporized. Your fucking house, all the windows are blown out. It doesn't take Einstein to figure out what the fuck's going on.
There are a lot of stupid people. When the hurricanes came and Katrina, and the people who were just like, yeah, I'm not leaving my home.
They either ended up dead or sitting on the roof waiting for a boat to come and get them.
Can't deny that there are people who do this and would do this. For someone like me, I'm just like, there's just no way. If you survive a blast like that, they probably still would have died. This was a real situation. They probably would have died in a few years if they had made it out of the zone.
Instead of just sitting and stewing in it for... How long did this take? It was like 4 or 5 days, maybe. They fall asleep on the couch one time, then they're back in the little shelter another time, then they're walking around the garden.
He says they're supposed to be in that little shelter for 2 weeks, but then he says, oh, I think I read it wrong, and it says 48 hours or something, right?
Yeah, he did say that. Again, I'm no nuclear physicist, but I would imagine fallout from something like that lasting years.
Chernobyl.
I used to watch that lame fishing show on Animal Planet. It had like either an Australian or an English guy. He went to fish there. You could only be there, I'm probably wrong.
Yes.
But 3 or 4 hours a day, and you had to leave within that time.
There's actually a really disturbing Hollywood story where I can't remember the place of where we tested the atom bomb, but John Wayne filmed a movie there. It was called like Cole the Conqueror or something like that. I can't remember the exact name. I've seen it. Everyone in that production died or got cancer. Even John Wayne died. I can't even imagine that at that time someone could film there or that they would. It was the mid 50s, I think, or something.
Despite the material, were there any lines that made you laugh?
Oh, who was BJ then?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not really recalling other lines that I thought were...
There was one that actually made me laugh. It was right after the bomb goes off. It's like the next day. He's reading the little pamphlet.
At intervals, stimulate group activities.
Don't you dare start stimulating, James. I'm not in the mood.
When I saw the naked fairy, I was like, oh, I guess anything goes. Especially when she was getting undressed underneath that tent thing. I'm like, oh, God, are we really going here?
Are we turning this into Fritz the cat?
There was one moment that I did think was pretty funny that I wanted to bring up, which it goes back to the just insane lies of painting the windows white to reflect the radiation. And it was so funny because there's so many windows in the thing that are just...
They didn't even touch.
Yeah, and also he took all the fucking doors off the house. Anything can come in, so it goes back to the absurdity of those pamphlets. And I'm sure there were loads of those in the 50s and stuff.
Like I brought up earlier, I saw it was on like TCM or something. They had 4 or 5 shorts of them right in a row, and I found it pretty funny and pretty disturbing at the same time.
Don't fight it, son. Confess quickly. If you hold out too long, you could jeopardize your credit rating.
Just duck and cover. It'll go right over your desk.
The atom bomb won't be able to touch you under your desk. You'll be safe. It's just so crazy. It really is.
Another somber episode. Do you have any other thoughts you'd like to bring up?
I hope everybody's okay. Hope you're doing okay out there, people.
I was about to say, I'm so thankful them Rooskies are our friends again. Oh, wait. I guess that'll wrap her up. Thank you for joining us, and,